Big international news coming in. Donald Trump was arrested and then released on bail. This is the first mugshot of former U.S. President Donald Trump that was taken after the arrest. Former U.S. President Donald Trump, who is currently undergoing charges of whether it's manipulating some extremely confidential documents and tampering with the election process earlier. Donald Trump was arrested and then released, however, in the bail case. We are being told that election fraud case is what has got him arrested briefly. Look at that mugshot of Donald Trump when he was taken into custody. He was, however, later released on a bail bond of about $200,000. He surrendered to the charges of elections fraud against him. This is big news coming in. Remember, former U.S. President is currently running for another run for the next year of elections in the United States of America for the presidential race. But for now, he has been arrested for allegedly illegally scheming to overturn the 2020 election in Georgia, a brisk 20-minute booking that yielded a historic first. That's the big news coming in. Let's listen in fact, to former President of the USA, Donald Trump.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have three other instances. It's election interference. So I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all. And we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think is very dishonest.
Let's go across to a special guest joining me in this morning on The First Up. Lenka White, a senior journalist, joining me from New York. Lenka, you know, it's very interesting that Donald Trump finally, even though briefly arrested, and this is ahead of his presidential race itself. Can you tell us a bit about what exactly unfolded through the night as per Indian Standard Time?
That's a great question. I have to say I'm actually on the spot in Georgia, in Atlanta, and I was today present right in front of the court, the prison where Donald Trump was turning himself in. And I have to say that the situation was very tense. You know, there were tens of people waiting in front of the prison for Donald Trump. And he actually did turn himself in at around 8 p.m. and spent there about 20 minutes inside the prison. And of course, the situation, it was all over the news, before he was coming in. And it's going to be there right now and days after, because this is a very heavy case, and it's the biggest one Donald Trump is facing right now, which he's facing right now, 4 indictments.
He was giving expected answers, which was travesty of justice. They've been alleging that it is the Biden administration or the incumbent government that's been going after him. What sort of mood was there among his supporters? Were there supporters around? Were there any sort of protests? Or for now, they were cautious and they were silent about what was happening legally?
So I actually went also in, across the center of Atlanta, and I have to say I didn't see any protests. There was one police car in the center of Atlanta, but the closer you were getting to the prison, the more people they were around, and the more police people, of course, they were around as well. There were also helicopters, and they closed off some streets. And regarding the supporters, they were about 30 supporters of Donald Trump and about 10 opposing Donald Trump. And the supporters, I asked them, how do you feel about it that he's having 4th indictment? Does it make you feel, less strong about him? And all of them actually said, no, on the other hand, we actually feel even stronger and we want to support him. And this is a witch hunt and this is against the Constitution. So this was sort of the mood. They were singing. All of them had logos, on their T-shirts, on their socks, on their pants. Everyone was very dressed up, and it was very interesting to observe that.
Lenka, do tell us about when you were there reporting. I'm sure there were other journalists as well. At that point, till now he was evading arrest. Finally, that arrest has come. What does this mean for Donald Trump's presidential run? Do you think it could hamper it? It may not stop for a while, but at least this could hamper that he had to be taken into custody for tampering with earlier elections.
That's a great question. There are many debates about it. What will actually happen to him, if anything? Is he going to prison or is he not? But what I can say is that definitely since this all started, his rating has been actually going up, and the people feel more stronger about him. And all of the supporters told me, thank you for that, because you're actually doing him an advertisement. You're actually, showing him to the world and to the United States, and showing on the flaws we are having in the system. So there is this truthful sort of view whether it's worse or better for him. But many of them think actually it's going to be better, and that he's getting a lot of attention thanks to that.
All right, thank you so much, Lenka White, as always, for updating us. You were there right in Georgia, so you understood the mood as well about what was happening. And, keep updating us about the situation, about how it's turning and what it's looking like in the USA. Thank you so much. Reporting from Georgia, senior journalist Lenka White with the latest on that. Let's go across to India. Today's Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, as well. Geeta, we've been tracking the charges that are rising against him. It's only increasing. He was also giving some statements with regard to India. But this should be considered big, isn't it? A former U.S. president, someone who wants to be the future U.S. president, briefly gets arrested, and what an angry mugshot there of him. All right, so take a look at the details on your screen right now. This is... we are being told the mugshot that you're looking at. Remember that for now, Donald Trump was avoiding any mugshots as well. Because he wasn't really being arrested at, even if there was a brief detention, it wasn't that there was any mugshot taken. So this is one of the first. And clearly the anger on his face, very visible. And what did he say once that happened, once he got out on bail? Here's what Donald Trump said.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have 3 other instances. It's election interference. So I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all. And we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest.